Okay, on this beautiful day here in Fortuna, got a little shade and a little sun. So, let's see. So, we're gonna at some point need to start integrating Yin Yang Tai Chi into Tai Chi Qigong. How are we gonna do that? Well, not sure yet. Well, what I'm envisioning right now is what I'm envisioning right now is establishing the root and establishing the center, establishing the Dantian in all movement. So if we could begin, if people had an idea of what Tai Chi was, in the sense that they would say, well, it's a series of postures and movements. If we had people say that Tai Chi was a practice that helps you connect to your center and integrate movement from the center into everyday life, I think that would be a good explanation of what we're exploring now. So I'll repeat that. Describing Tai Chi as a process of connecting to one's center and using that center to move in all movements in everyday life. So that means that the movements that we're doing in Tai Chi are all coming from the Dantian and the center, and that's how you build a Tai Chi foundation. And each process and each part of the process always holds on to that root and always holds on to that theoretical foundation and manifests in each physical movement. How does that look? So that means if you're doing a just the beginning form, you're just beginning the form, you have the sense that Dantian always initiates the next part of, or the next posture, wherever you're coming from or wherever you're going to. The awareness is in the Dantian, and from the Dantian to the whole body, and the consciousness is Dantian consciousness. That, of course, takes muscle memory, right? Our minds are typically on what we're trying to accomplish and what we're trying to do, and the hand is the interface to that object or to that process. From our mind to the external, the hand is the interface. So the mind is usually either on the object or on the task or on the thing, or on the hand of that thing. Rarely is the mind on the body and how we're using the body and moving through space and time in an efficient way. And so that's what the Tai Chi process is. With that, let's start moving, okay? Let's start moving. So let's visit the yin yang symbol. Let's visit the yin yang symbol, okay? I'm drawing yang circles with my arm, with my fingers here. Arm circles with my fingers here. Yin circles with my fingers. Yin circles with my fingers. Yeah. Transition, S transition to switch from yang to yin or yin to yang, right? That we can easily do, right? We can easily do that. We can easily pick up an acorn off the ground, right? But to do it in a way that's conscious of the Dantian and of the center is a whole other thing. So then we would say, okay, let's trace the circle back to the root. So if we're drawing the circle at the from the roots, then it would look like this. You get what I'm saying? And that eventually goes into the shoulder. So I start to exaggerate, accentuate the shoulder. Then the elbow. So I engage the elbow. Then the wrist. keeping in mind the dantian moves first. And then lastly, the finger. Okay, so notice that process. So the process, or let's say the end point, when the circle is already manifested, that's yin yang. That's yin yang, right? The dantian, relatively, in this case, in this context, is wuji. At the dantian, that's wuji. So the process that connects wuji to yin yang is um, taiji, right? Which is the spiral pattern that we see all through nature as nature manifests its will and its power. Let's do that again. So starting at the center, starting at the dantian, let's say we're going to do with our, let's say you do your left hand, you're going to be doing yang circles. So we need to envision that yang circle prior to and understand where it begins, okay? So we really break it down here, right? The circle includes a vertical movement, right? That is facilitated by bending the knees and the ankles. And then the circle is also going to include a horizontal movement, which is facilitated by the rotation of the waist, right? So let's harmonize just first those two movements to make a circle with our dantian. And so you'll notice if you only add waist rotation without sinking, then you just have the horizontal movement, right? If you just sink and bend the knees, you omit the, if you just sink and move the knees, then you're omitting the horizontal. If you're just rotating without bending the knees, you're omitting vertical, right? So this is simply where we begin and what's required for our yang circle. Make sure you're turning the right way, right? Make sure you're turning the right way because there are two different directions. Yeah, and you can visit that with the hand just to make sure. Okay, so doing yang circles with the left hand. Okay, from the dantian, take your mind, travel up the torso incrementally with each repetition, and start to engage the rest of the torso up into the shoulder, but don't include the shoulder just yet. Feel what we call the potential difference. Feel the potential difference building into the shoulder, if you will. So it's like, oh, you're at the door, you're waiting to get in, waiting. The shoulder's not exactly letting you in, but you're from the dantian and you're all through the spine. So you've got spinal wave happening, loose spine, maybe a little bit of chest bow as well. All right, come to that threshold, come to the door of the shoulder and just slowly let your mind in to the shoulder and start to animate the shoulder coordinated with the dantian. And feel the difference now. You've let the mind bypass that door. So shoulder girdle's nice and loose, scapula is moving. Feel maybe pectorials engaging, disengaging. A little bit of shrugging of the shoulder up, but not a lot. Just trying to make a nice circle, okay? So we're at the shoulder. Take your mind now to the elbow. Take your mind to the elbow. But don't engage the elbow just yet. Build that potential difference. It's like you're waiting And then really just till you can't take it any longer, you're going to engage the elbow. But sort of feel that potential difference start to build. Sort of playing a little game with your joints here and your mind. It's like, are you going to engage? Are you going to engage me? Not just yet. You're going to engage me? Not just yet. You're going to engage me? No, just wait. Patience, joints, patience. And go ahead and slowly start to place your mind into the elbow. And now feel Dantian connected to spine, shoulder, and elbow. At this point, some people may start to engage some muscle in the forearm to lift the hand. But what you want to really try to do is keep the movement restricted to Dantian, shoulder, elbow. Notice the coordination, notice the connection, softness around the joints. Slowly moving to the process, right? And notice when you start to place some of your mind on the wrist now. You're not engaging the wrist, but you're now just becoming that aware that the mind is the next phase. I'm sorry, the wrist is the next phase for the mind. Hopefully you're engaging your breath. Yeah, and you may even start to subconsciously start to include the wrist without being cued to. If you do, just let it go, bring it back to the elbow, and just maintain your discipline. Now, finally, bring your mind to the wrist. Let the movement include the wrist. That means the hand is relaxed. Hand is relaxed. So really try to feel the distinction of the movement reaching the wrist, but not the hand yet, not the finger. Get a sense of the finger, the index finger, but don't engage it. Just make a mental connection of where it is and how you may engage it and what it may feel like when you engage it. And finally, circle now includes that index finger. So it is fully manifested and now reaching the larger external world outside of yourself. Play with the diameter of the circle, large circles, small circles. Feel how it coils and how you can play with the softness of the joints. Remember that you're always initiating Dantian first. Take your mind to Dantian. Even put your hand on your abdomen and be conscious of the coordination that Dantian moves first. That's the internal ball moving the external ball. Okay, let's see how small you can make those coils. So at this point, they're not necessarily circles, but they're coils. Yeah. So when I make small circles, watch my waist. All right, so at this point, we're really searching now for deeper feeling, searching for deeper feeling and connection of those tissues that are holding the joints, manipulating the joints, and connecting Dantian to the finger. May even help if you place your hand on the abdomen and move your abdomen with your hand. That may even help you too. Moving the abdomen with your hand and noticing how that movement moves the external finger. Yeah. Good. From here, let's go ahead and add a transition. At your 12 o'clock, add an S transition and change direction. Yeah. Keep giving me those rotations of the Dantian, circles of the Dantian. And let's go ahead and spiral out, make this circle nice and large diameter here. Don't lose that connection to the Dantian. Let's slow it down as we draw these large sweeping circles. Inhale, lift your hand. And exhale, drop your hand. Remember moving with the Dantian. Good. Let's bring that hand to the Dantian. Maintain your circles, right? Because that's still moving. That's the generator. Now let the other hand relax down at the side as we're switching hands. So we're harmonizing, remember, we're harmonizing rotation and ascension, descension, right? Ascending, descending, bending of the knees, and rotation of the waist, of the torso, harmonizing those. So they also call this silk reeling energy, silk reeling energy, in that you're kind of like, actually, you know, the reeling of the silk and moving from the center. So silk reeling energy is what it's traditionally called. So we're going to begin the process of connecting the Dantian to the finger now of the right hand. So just connect, make sure you have soft spine. Inhale, rise up as if you're lifting the hand. Exhale, squat down as if you're dropping the hand. And turning, inhaling, opening spine, rotating, inhaling. Exhaling, closing spine. See how the spine's involved? That's eventually going to connect to the finger. Okay. Now start to place your mind on the shoulder, but don't engage the shoulder, right? We're building the potential difference, So with your mind, you're creating a door. And then also with your mind, you're pushing against the door of that shoulder joint. You're still connected to your spine, opening spine, turning, closing spine, turning. Okay. In these next repetitions, go ahead and enter the shoulder slowly and start to move your shoulder coordinated with the Dantian. Feel the mind enter, feel the tissues respond, loosening, opening, coordinating breath. Notice the sensation in the whole arm as you're just restricted here to the shoulder. And now place your mind. Oh, do you need to get through? Oh, okay. On what side? Or he'll tell me? Oh, okay. Okay, thanks. So you know the next part is now the elbow. So again, placing the mind at the elbow, placing a door there for your mind, but also putting some pressure there because you know you're going to start to enter. Not just yet. Not just yet. And now in these next repetitions, next circles, enter your elbow. Notice the difference. Notice the difference when you start to animate and include the elbow, but relaxing, wrist and hand. Don't forget the spine opening and closing. Turn, close spine. Turn, open spine and rise. Turn, close spine, descend. Turn, open spine, ascend. Make sure you coordinate with your breath here. If you have to slow it down, feel free. Okay, next joint, next phase, next point, going to the wrist. Place your mind there. Build a wall there for your mind. And try to restrict the movement of the wrist. Try to restrict the movement of the wrist. I know it's going to be difficult. You're just controlling your body, using your mind to control your body. And now let's go ahead and enter the wrist, include the wrist. Relaxing hand and finger. All right, so when you rise up, the wrist may flex when you rise up. And then when you descend, the wrist is going to relax. Rising up, wrist will flex because you're including it, and then relax. So noticing the distinction now of engaging wrist, but relaxing the rest of the hand. Place your hand in the, place your mind on the hand and finger. Place your mind on hand and finger. And just register the place that you will engage next, but don't engage. And now finally, let's go ahead and engage hand and finger. Feel that open, feel the energy passing through freely. Don't forget the connection. Let's go ahead and draw an S and change directions. Yeah. And I just want to keep encouraging you to try to move from the Dantian, initiate each, because it's a circle, it's always each point is a change in direction. So you have infinite amounts of opportunities to engage the Dantian to change direction. Let's go ahead and spiral these circles in incrementally, bringing the circle smaller and smaller. Feel that coiling coming from the dantian into the shoulder, elbow, wrist, and finger. Shoulder, elbow, wrist, and finger. Yeah, keep moving the dantian. Keep moving, keep rotating. Let's go ahead and slow this down. We're gonna bring this movement to a close. Couple of deep breaths as you come back into center. Let's take a second, bring the hands to the dantian, and let's just close the eyes and make space and just register and connect with the dantian here. And now really you have this point in space and time, this point of energy. Also it's embodied, where you have this potential of movement, right? You have this seed of movement. And from here is where your movement grows, whether it's yang circles, yin circles, yin yang circles, spirals. And let's just go ahead and relax our hands. Okay, I'll pause that and see if you guys have any questions.